I'm Ryan Milton from Team Flex, and today we're going to be looking at Fit Model taking place around the world here with the NPC Worldwide E&E Grand Prix. We're looking at a true novice class. I'll explain what that means in just a minute. We're going to look at our top 5 competitors, go over the criteria of the placings, why it landed the way it did, and what it ultimately means for you if you are interested in competing in Fit Model Division, are competing in Fit Model Division, or just like to follow along with what is going on with the newest women's division in the NPC and IFBB. And that's what I do all the time on this channel. So if you're new here, subscribe, hang out, plenty more good stuff coming at you here. Also, I do want to make note real quick, 7-day free coaching trial. If any of you are out there trying to get your fit model physique, you want fit model workouts, you don't know what you need to work on, you don't know what muscles need more, what ones need less, anything like that, where you stand, what division is best for you, grab your phone right now, pick it up, start typing in teamfflex.com/7-day trial. And you can do my 7-day free coaching trial, train with me free for 7 days. No obligation to sign up, no credit card information, none of that stuff. This is my give back to the bodybuilding community, to you as a viewer, somebody that I want to help be able to do better. And, you know, I can give you feedback on check-ins, feedback on posing, show you some workouts, give you exact workouts to do for your goals, answer any of your questions and anything else. And that is an offer that we have ongoing all the time. So grab, if you're watching this video 3 years from now, doesn't matter. Grab your phone, type that in, see you on the other side. All right, so as I said, European E&E Grand Prix, I can't talk apparently. This is the NPC Worldwide E&E Grand Prix. And what we generally see with most, worldwide competitions, I've said this a few times on the channel, is they tend to go a little bit more muscular, a little bit leaner. With Fit Model, didn't seem to do that as much. We do have a pretty good, interesting group of athletes to look at, though, as far as criteria goes for Fit Model Division. As Fit Model now continues to evolve a little bit more to what would appear, at least internationally, to hold a little bit more muscle. And I know this is throwing a lot of you for a loop that are watching some of the shows in the States, and you're like, that's not what I'm seeing here. But the international comps, they're definitely holding a little bit more muscle. Let's talk about this. So again, as I stated, true novice class, there was no overall winner here that I saw posted, at least. So we're going to look at true novice, which is very first time competitors, is what that should be. True novice, meaning like this is the absolute first time they've compete. Let's take a look. So we have Shania here, and she's in first place. We have Line over here in second, and we have, let me see here, Matilda in third. Okay, sometimes I can't read as far. I guess my eyes are getting bad or some shit. All right, let's take a look here. This is our top 3 in Fit Model Division International, and what we're seeing is definitely a little bit more muscle in this division. Fit Model overall, as we know, is bikini of 10 years ago. That's really the easiest way you can look at it. If you've been in the sport a long time, this is what bikini used to look like. Now it's a newer division. It's called Fit Model, and it's a throwback to that look. So what continues to kind of play out at the international level, and we'll see if this ends up correlating in states or not, is we are seeing a lot more muscle going on in the lower bodies of some of these athletes internationally. And I know that you all have been seeing that. And this is actually a combo of, more muscle, but a little bit more body fat too, because this division is softest in regards to condition out of the women's division. So it does make that lower body start to look a little bit dominant. Actually, some clients that I used to have, right, that were former wellness competitors, I trained for wellness, they're actually been competing and doing pretty well now in Fit Model in some cases, after obviously losing some muscle. But, more lower body dominant athletes in general may be becoming what Fit Model is about. And that's, an interesting point. Let me know what you think in the comments, if you think that's where we're heading, if that's where criteria is kind of going for this. I don't know. I've seen it at some shows. I've also seen, though, there'll be 5-10 shows this same weekend that won't look nothing like this. So again, Wild Wild West, ladies. If you're competing in Fit Model this year, it's Wild Wild West. You just got to adapt, load the gun, and shoot, okay? That's what we're doing. But either way, let's talk a little bit about these groups here. So Shauna here, she's basically got about the shoulder shape you would see in this division, which is not a lot of shoulders in Fit Model. You want to have just a little bit of that roundness, that fullness here. Obviously, you're still working out, you still lift, but you're not looking for delts like in bikini or even in wellness, or definitely not figure, where it's a very rounded, filled out, developed look. Fit model here, we want just a little bit of that shoulder development, and then, mainly looking at a waistline taper here to create the hourglass. Since they don't have as much shoulders, you really do rely a lot on the midsection being tight and tiny to pull off your hourglass look. So fit model ladies, you're competing in fit model, keep that waistline in check. Do whatever you got to do to make sure that, you diet yourself in right, you bring that look in, transverse abdominis exercise, vacuums, whatever it takes for you to get that narrow waist. Because since you can't bring bigger delts, that's what you're going to have to focus on. So Shauna, she's really got that great look. It all pulls together. You can see the development from the glute from the front here. Some athletes are going to show that, some won't. Nothing really to say much about that. Not looking for the glutes much in the front model front pose as it is. Primarily looking to the lower body and the quads here. So this pose in general will lean out your quads a bit, like as far as size look, right? It elongates them. It makes them look less full than they would, let's say, in a bikini pose or even a wellness pose. So you actually might need to err on the side of having a little bit more development than you think if you're trying to achieve a look like this, which if you're international, might be something you want to look at. When I have a competitor competing internationally, I'm always changing the way they look a little bit to fit where they're at because, Canadian competitions look like this. European competitions look like this. Australian competitions look like that, and, everything else. So I really try to match the look to where that is. And that does happen in the States too as well a bit, but it's more like regional, northern, southern, whatever. So either way, you got to know what the look is and what you want to pull off. If you like that fit model look and you want to bring that, good. Add maybe a little bit more lower body than you think you need because that front pose can really lean it out. And we'll see how that goes as we go through the top. But overall, very complete look. Maybe a tad on the leaner side here for this division as we start to see a little bit more rib and stuff coming through. But again, that is something we will see in this division as it goes. So looking over here at line, what she's got, a little bit more of that shoulder development here than, even our first. Good taper into the waist. Overall, lower body is there. Everything's here. Maybe just a tad softer in the lower body, carrying a little bit more body fat to bring through some of that size. I know a lot of fit model competitors are wondering, like, what's going on with the lower bodies? They look so muscular. Well, actually, a lot of it, the lower body size, in other words, is coming from body fat because it's a bit softer of a criteria. It's the softest women's division we have where, you don't want to have the same condition as bikini or wellness or anything else. So you are a bit softer. That automatically adds a little bit more size to the female form in the lower body. That's just kind of how it works. So we are seeing some of that play out as a combo of muscle plus some body fat. So for her, a little bit softer in the lower body, as you can see, and then maybe a little bit more shoulders, which may be the two things that tick her down into second, just a tad, a little bit too soft for this lineup, and, her shoulders being a bit too big compared to the first place winner. I don't think fit model shoulders are ever going to be a big thing. I don't think you're going to want that fullness, that roundness. I don't think the criteria will ever get there because if it did start to look too much like bikini, which we know the organizations do not want that. So let's look over here at Matilda. Here's she, in third. Overall, very lean look. You start to see that right away, with some of the ribs and the ab line in here. This could be too lean for fit model, maybe why she's in third. She does have pretty on par shoulder shape, I would say. Tapers in well, lower body. This is, again, where I was talking about the pose that can kind of lean out the quads, make them appear not as developed. This is a situation where that may be happening, right? So she looks pretty up and down, not as much shape to the physique in this look, versus more of the hourglass that we're going to see from these other two. So again, just a factor to consider if you are competing in fit model. You really want to not pull conditioning too far down, and you want to make sure your poses adjust to really show that hourglass shape. I know a lot of competitors still trying to figure this division out. This is why, again, you're going to see Wild Wild West across the board. That's where we're rolling all the way through fit model 2025, and that is kind of where we're at. Let's go to the back, though, see what the physiques are looking like here. So Shauna here, she's got overall this look that is fit model for sure. It's a little bit of that shoulder shape, not too much. You're not going to see much of the waist here due to the hair. Again, not a huge factor, but you can note it is probably tapered right there. Lower body development, pretty on par, not showing tie-ins. This is not a visible tie-in for those that think that's a tie-in. That's really not. This is just, overall glute structure with the right level of condition. That is not a hard tie-in in the way judges see it, like they would in bikini or wellness. Overall glute shape is here, muscles there. Quads and hamstrings do match pretty well. You want to have a good lower body balance in fit model, and we do see that here. Again, we talk about suits, right? These suits, they don't appear to be 50% coverage. But again, Wild West, ladies. I know. Just if you're on Instagram, go take a screenshot or something, and then put it on your story and hashtag Wild West. I'll repost it because that's what's going on. If you're a fit model competitor, I mean, that's what we're seeing. So these suits, may not pass at a different event. You would have to really, honestly, be pretty confident with your suit going into a competition, because I do think they're going to tighten up the rules quite a bit more on that, and they would want to see, again, that 50% glute coverage. If they're not seeing that, there may be events that you get away with it. There may be events you do not, in which case it would be a real bummer if you don't have a backup suit or something else to do. Overall, though, she's definitely got good balance, good shape, wins this class, no doubt. Again, that's where we're at here. Looking over here at line, good overall shape. Not as much coming from the shoulders, though, here. That is interesting, considering she looked a little bit more dominant from the front in the shoulders. So, again, that's where you can see posing really does take a big effect. If you pose a certain way, your shoulders can look bigger, this and that. That judges, they're not measuring your shoulders. They don't know where things are at. They're looking at aesthetics. So you really do want to make sure you pull through the poses correctly to showcase as best you can. Her lower body, either way, in the back, does appear a bit more dominant, and I think it's some from body fat and some from, again, just muscular development. So she's got a little bit more muscle, a little bit maybe conditioning to work on in the lower body compared to first. Very close, though. Overall, very close, very fit model-esque look. Maybe it's just a tad too much muscle or lower body dominance going on in the lower body here from the back. Could throw off that look, but again, this full glute structure, full quads and hamstrings is what judges want to see in this division. Hence, her taking second here still pulls off this look very well. Looking over here at Matilda, this is where you can see very lean look that can kind of, just flatten out your physique a bit. So not as much coming from the shoulders here, not as much of a, hourglass shape in general. It's more of a up and down look here. Great look for fit model, great physique overall. Just trying to give you all further insight into how these placings really can play out and they can occur and what you should look at. So for her, a little bit more fullness in the physique, I think, would be the key to move higher in the placings at least this competition the way it was. And, that's overall what we're going to see as a mixed bag of fit model here, where a lot of athletes are going to bring a different look right now. Like I got fit model athletes I'm putting on stages. Everybody's got a different look and everybody's doing, well. But the thing is, it's a different look all the time because, your best look on stage, your best fit model look watching, it's going to be different than anyone else's, right? So if you watch this and you think, okay, I got to look like, it's not really the point of the videos. If you want to know what to work on, right here, free trial, do it, pull your phone up, do it. I'll see you on the other side. All right, now let's bring into the rest of our group here. We have Nadia in fourth and Sylvia, over here in fifth. So this is what we're looking at now compared to our first place winner, where again, as I've been saying for fit model, judges kind of been hammering the bigger muscled look, and they're still doing it even internationally, right? If you have too much muscle, you might be moving down. So I think that's the case for our fourth place here, Nadia. She's got overall good structure, great waist taper here, very narrow. She's got a lot more size in the upper body though. Bicep, tricep, delts, all pretty developed here. Lower body looks pretty developed too, but again, a little bit more of an angled pose here. It just looks more up and down. There's ways you could have tweaked that pose, I think. If you're a competitor out there posing in a similar fashion, there's ways you could tweak that pose to make it look a little bit more hourglassy, which could help. But either way, nothing to scoff at. Fourth place, good physique, great example of criteria. Awesome where it sits, maybe a little bit tad dominant up top. We'll have to see when we get to the back if that's all there is to say there. Sylvia here, and again, a very leaner look. You start to see that right away in the abs, the obliques. This is probably too lean for a fit model look. That might be a factor. Also, I would suggest posing here as well. The fit model front pose should look more like this. It's not as much this side profile that we see on actually both our fourth and our fifth. So keep that in mind as you pose. I know a lot of people are experimenting with the fit model pose. Get on stage, get some feedback, but also make sure you're following where you should kind of be as far as that pose goes within the criteria and the rules. Let's take a look to the back, all right? So to the back, when we go here, full story gets always seen. So Nadia here, yeah, maybe just had upper body dominant here. It's showing more delts for sure than our first place winner. So that's one thing to consider. A little bit more back development here too. Not to say that that's an issue per se, but it can be. Lower body wise, good overall shape and structure. A little bit more dominance though coming from the quads and from the hamstrings over the glutes. And conditioning, I would say probably from the posterior chain needs to be just a tad tighter, right? That's a factor. We're seeing a lot of variance in fit model conditioning right now. Some athletes coming leaner, some coming softer. Everybody's trying to find it, but you'll find it. Keep working at it. Keep going. Get on stage. That's how you get the best idea, right? Or get a coach. Get a coach that can tell you what you need to work on, like I can. Okay, and over here, Sylvia. Yeah, so definitely a leaner look overall, a lot more lean. Also needs a little bit maybe shape in the upper body, and more development in the lower body. Glutes don't really pop as much with the lower body there, so more glute development brings that fullness, brings everything through. So she's on the side of a little leaner, needing more muscle. And again, overall, fit model division still rolling out, brand new, very exciting. Great job to all these athletes in this group. They're making, they're carving the path. If you want to be carving the path, get yourself on stage. A lot of people looking at these saying, I don't like the way that looks going. I don't like this. Why don't you go get on stage? See how you line up, see what you think. And if you're driving yourself nuts, you are competing in fit modeling, you're driving yourself crazy trying to figure this out. Best thing you can do, get yourself a coach that knows what they're doing, and then go get on stage, okay? Get yourself on stage, get some feedback, get some ideas, get some, next level, be part of this division as it carves out. Very exciting time. If you like these videos, you want to see more, I got a lot more coming on this channel, as well as many other things that are going to help you be a better competitor. And if you have any specific events or shows or anything you want me to cover, drop it in the comments, and I'll bring that up on the channel for sure. I take all those comments, put them in a file, and then I pull them one by one every time I record to get them done for you, all right? Thank you for watching. Coach Ryan is out.